What's going on, guys? Ben from JK Gear and Gadgets, and welcome to the first episode of the JK 1-ton swap video series. Been very excited, to make this video series, and I've been talking about it in a lot of videos, but we are finally getting started. To my knowledge, there's not any good YouTube video series on how to put junkyard axles into a JK. So in this video series, we're gonna do pretty much step by step on how to get this axle under your JK, all the brackets you need, how to put in lockers, gears, set up our steering, what brake upgrades do we need to run, control arms, probably gonna end up going with long arms, drive shafts, pretty much everything that you're gonna need to know to get a junkyard axle into your JK. Even if you don't plan on doing a JK 1-ton swap, it's gonna be very informative for you guys. We're gonna be highlighting gears, locker install, we're gonna be doing all that, setting up steering, welding on a truss. So you see what I'm saying? Even if you aren't planning to do this, it's still gonna be a lot of great knowledge for those of you that are just getting started in the Jeep world. You can see how to set up gears, you can see how to weld on a truss. I'd recommend watching pretty much all the videos, because even if it's not just for this axle, if you have something else in mind, a lot of it is gonna kind of work together, and it's all gonna be the same principle. In this first episode, we're gonna be talking about the benefits of doing a junkyard axle swap, kind of the pros and cons of going this route opposed to just aftermarket 1-tons for the JK. We're also going to talk about what axles you need to find to start off this build, a few things that I'd recommend, and we're going to talk about what axles I'm using in this video series. There's a lot of different axles on the market, but there are two axles that are pretty much going to be the best for this swap. All right, so let's start off with the pros and cons between aftermarket axles and junkyard axles. Aftermarket axles like Curry, Dynatrack, Ultimate Dana 60s, Fusion, all those axles are extremely nice. They plug and play, they bolt right into the JK, but they come in at an extremely high price tag. You're looking at anywhere from $12,000 to $15,000 just for the axles. A really nice thing about those is that you slide them under your JK, you bolt them up, you are good to go. Whereas these, we're gonna have to do a lot of work. There's gonna be a lot of welding, fabrication, and general knowledge of gears, steering, all that kind of stuff's gonna have to come into play. But luckily for you, we're doing a full video series, so if you're looking to go this route, you can tag along. I'll give you tips and tricks, and honestly, if you follow exactly what I do, you'll probably come out with the exact same outcome that I do. A great thing about these is that the price, if you do everything yourself or have a really close buddy that can help you out with it, is the price is going to be a lot lower. I'm looking to spend anywhere from 8 to 10. That's kind of on the high side. I'm going to try to keep this build cost effective, kind of budget friendly. I mean, certain stuff you really can't be budget friendly on, like gears and lockers. We're going to have to pay for that, but a lot of the other stuff we're going to be able to save money because we're doing it ourselves. So right off the bat, doing a swap like this, you're gonna have the ability to weld, or have a really close buddy that's good at welding that can do it for you. Come over to your house, and you can buy him a case of beer, give him $100. Stuff like that is where you're gonna be able to save the money. So it's gonna be a pretty fun process, a lot of work, but another great thing about these is that we can kind of spend the money slowly. So instead of going online and saying click, okay, just bought my axles for $14,000, this we can work on slowly. So for example, 1 month we can buy the locker, next month buy the swap kit. You see what I'm saying? Is we can spread the parts out over a longer term instead of just buying everything right at once. It's definitely a better option for those of you that don't have that type of money up front, but eventually want to go 1-tons. We can work on it here and there, and honestly, you can set whatever length you want. If you want to be working on this swap for 2 years, it's definitely going to be a lot easier than just putting $14,000 up front. I've had these axles for about 1.5 years now, and I am just now getting started on them. But pros and cons, let's go back to the pros and cons. Junkyard axle swaps are going to end up being a little bit heavier. Right off the bat, this axle is extremely heavy. I think this one's like 600 pounds. Once it's fully loaded, we're going to be adding a nice big steel swap truss kit onto it. That's going to be another 100 pounds. Diff cover. As you guys can tell, that this is going to be an extremely heavy axle, whereas an aftermarket one might be a couple 100 pounds less, which is nice, but for me, it's not really worth the money. If you're looking to do a 1-ton swap on like a strict daily driver, like you drive your Jeep every day to work, you have a 40-mile commute, junkyard swaps might not be your best bet. Sure, you could still do that with these, but you know, that's one of the disadvantages of these, is the weight. Second disadvantage is the compatibility. While we are going to be adding a swap truss kit, we're going to make everything work for the JK. It's not exactly perfectly compatible. For example, this diff is way over on the driver's side, so our control arms are going to have to be custom made. We can't just use off the shelf, you know, slap some JK adjustable control arms. So there's a lot of little trade-offs, but honestly it's not too bad, and in each video I'll be talking about those trade-offs. So let's talk about what axles you should find. I'm gonna go grab the camera and we're gonna talk about it. All right, so I'm not going to sit here and talk about every possible 1-ton front axle you could put in the JK. I also have the rear over there, but we're going to get to that in a second. What I recommend is, if you are doing a 1-ton swap into a JK, is get a 2005 up Dana 60 out of a Ford Super Duty. This is going to have the most aftermarket support, pretty much, to put into a JK. We're going to be able to work our ABS and, you know, wheel speed sensors and make the computer happy on the Jeep with this axle. If you go and start looking online, you'll see a lot of info about the 04 and below Super Duties. Some of those are actually Dana 50s, and if you end up with one of those, you're pretty much screwed. Definitely don't want to go that route, but there are a few key factors you can find to see if it's a Dana 50 or Dana 60, you know, based on the pinion nut size, the shape of the axle. But you know, I've seen a lot of people get screwed by going that route. The difference between the 04 and 05 Super Duty 60 is, well, you can't see it now because I've already started some of the cutting. The 05 and up are going to have huge radius mounts right here, radius arm mounts, kind of like control arm mounts, whereas the 04 and below have leaf spring perches. That's a leaf spring axle, and the 05 and up is a coil sprung axle. So it's very easy to distinguish. If you find one that has the huge radius arm mounts, you'll know it's a Dana 60, no questions asked. This is an extremely beefy axle. I mean, you can see, look at the knuckles, boom, it is ball joints. These ball joints are actually pretty strong, and we can upgrade to aftermarket ones or replace them if needed, and it's actually really easy to change these ball joints. Axle shafts from the factory are plenty strong. I mean, just look at the size of that U-joint. You know, there's my hand for comparison. The axle shafts are 35 spline outers. I mean, look at that, huge. Whereas the 04 and below are 30 spline. So if you're gonna be doing this swap, try to find a 2005 and up Super Duty Dana 60. So I actually got this axle from a guy on Facebook Marketplace for 500 bucks for the front axle and the rear Sterling axle. I'm not using the Sterling axle. A few videos back when I first got these, I had talked about using the Sterling, but since I am doing this video series pretty much to show all you guys how to do it, the 14 bolt rear is going to work a lot happier with the JK, and we'll get to that. I'll talk about that in a minute. But when you find this axle, I wouldn't spend more than $700 on this axle. Try to find one that comes complete with, you know, your brake calipers, axle shafts, unit bearings, ring and pinion aren't really that important, and overall make sure it's in pretty decent shape. Make sure it's not bent. Make sure there's no cracked housing. Make sure it hasn't been sitting in the bottom of a lake bed for 2 years and extremely rusted. Outside, it's fine if it's rusted, mostly just on the inside. But that's pretty much it for the front axle. Sadly, I've already started cutting off the mounts. I did that last year before I really started recording all my stuff. Easiest way to cut off these huge mounts is with a bandsaw or a plasma cutter. If you are going to plasma cut it off, you know, make sure you're not heating the area up too much, but you can spend a lot of time with a grinder or a bandsaw and you'll be able to work that out. I think there's already a few videos on that anyways. But let's talk about the rear axle. This is the rear axle from a 2500. This is a 14 bolt full float rear axle, 8 lug. Speaking of lugs, they are both 8 lug. The Ford Super Duty front is an 8 on 170, and this is an 8 on 6.5. So we are going to have to use wheel spacers or adapters on the rear here. Not a big deal because this axle is already narrower than the front, so we're going to have to run wheel spacers anyways. There's a few other options, a few other things we can do, but we're going to talk about all that in a different video series. But you're going to want to find a 14 bolt 4 float rear axle from a 1999 to 2006 2500 or 3500. These things are pretty easy to identify. Huge pumpkin diff, and what we're really looking for when we go to pick this thing up is disc brakes. As you can tell, mine didn't come with any calipers or rotors, sadly. So that's something I'll have to buy. But we're looking for these ribbings on the top of the housing. Ribbings, and then over down here, let me get down, on the pinion yoke, right around there, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, I think there's 5 or 6 bolts that go around here. You want to look for that. There is another newer style AAM 14 bolt, doesn't have the ribbing, and it does not have that detachable pinion. It has more of like, just instead of a yoke, it has a flange. So this is what you want to look for. Honestly, you can find these from anywhere from 100 to 200 bucks online. Craigslist, Facebook, great place to start looking for these. When you go to pick one up, make sure you have a buddy, because these things are extremely heavy. But like I said, just like that axle, the more complete, the better. You know, it sucks because I have to buy rotors and calipers. You know, if I would have found one that's in better shape, I would have been able to save 250 bucks right there, right off the bat. But this axle's in really good shape, and it's gonna be a great rear axle. Now, why didn't I use the rear axle that matched the Super Duty, the Sterling 10.5? Well, on the JK, if you've ever been under there, which I hope you have if you've been planning to do this swap, is we have a gas tank, boop, sitting right there on the passenger side. Now, the Super Duty Sterling rear axle is actually offset to that passenger side, so you have clearance issues with the rear pinion and the gas tank, especially under flexing situations. There's a few ways to alleviate that. You can run a really tall lift, like 5.5 inches. You can stretch the rear, you can hammer in the gas tank, or you can move the gas tank from underneath by doing a fuel cell, or in the back like a Genrite kit. But honestly, guys, the 14 bolt is a great axle. They're easy to find, and you don't have to deal with any of the gas tank issues. I wasn't looking to do a fuel cell, because that's, you know, I like driving mine with the kids in the car. I really don't want to have a fuel cell mounted in the back taking up a bunch of room. And the Genrite gas tank is like 2,500 bucks. So we're sticking with this and the 14 bolt. Prices, like I said, try to keep the front axle under 700 bucks. And I wouldn't pay more than 300 bucks for the 14 bolt. So try to keep both axles under $1,000. You see what I'm saying? Don't go and spend 1,200 bucks on this front axle and expend, you know, and expect this to be like a budget-friendly swap. These are the first parts of the puzzle. Get them in good shape, don't spend too much, and we'll be happy. Good to go there. So, like I already mentioned, I've already started cleaning up this axle. The next video, we're really gonna prep this axle down and put on the swap truss kit. We're gonna weld it on. But in order to prep this, you're gonna need grinders, sawzall, bandsaw, and possibly a plasma cutter or torch. Those two aren't really needed, but they're huge time savers. The radius mounts are a huge piece of cast steel that wrap from up here to down there. You're gonna have to cut them off. You're also gonna have to cut this cast section off about 2 inches. So honestly, guys, bandsaw with this is the easiest way to go. Make sure you don't cut too deep. I'm really sorry that I didn't film all that. I took little, you know, pieces and portions, but when I first got these and, you know, started doing that stuff, I wasn't really fully devoted to the YouTube channel, and I didn't really have this, you know, in mind. So I'm sorry, but there are already a lot of videos on prepping this and a lot of good info online about how to do that. It's pretty simple, it just takes a lot of time. It's probably the worst part of you know, the first stages of this is really cleaning it up, but I still got to go back and clean this up. But I'm over here rambling on. So in summary, we're going to be doing an awesome video series step by step on how to get these axles under your JK. So if you haven't yet, subscribe to the channel. Hopefully you guys, you know, even if you aren't doing the swap, will stick around, watch all the videos. There's gonna be a lot of good info. So if you have any questions, please go down in the comments and let me know, and I'll try my best to answer them. There's a lot of different ways to do these swaps, but I'm gonna, you know, choose a route that I think will be good for me and a good route that I'd recommend to all you that are, you know, planning to do this in the future. Super excited about it. Stay tuned for more videos, guys. Thanks for watching. This has been from JK Gear and Gadgets. Peace.